the first half of this is a no-brainer. Obviously, figure out what content your folks are consuming. I remember at one point I was representing a client that was selling an enterprise knowledge management software, right? So I had no idea what that was. Like with many of our startup technology clients at Foresight, going into it, I had no knowledge about the persona, the industry, the product, the technology, anything, right? And the first step for me was always to be like, okay, what is first of all, like Google some of the very basic terms and be humble. You know, it helps me to be humble because I don't have a piece of paper on my wall, right? So Google all of the dumb terms and all of the things you don't know, and then from there you can be like, okay, oh, so this is related to knowledge management. What are some good knowledge management forums? What are some good LinkedIn
Mm,
groups? What are some good newsletters, right? Start subscribing to things, and especially on LinkedIn, since I spend still so much of my day on LinkedIn. That's a really easy way where once you start curating your channels, you'll just casually get content around it, right? And then you can start learning things as you go. You just casually consuming that light content. But the biggest education piece for me, especially coming from Foresight, was cold calling. Even to this day, I'm not afraid of assuming the role of the dunce, somebody who doesn't know, doesn't understand like the joke, doesn't get the phrase, doesn't understand the concept, right? There are still many times when somebody says something to me, and at this point, people talk to me like I'm a peer, and there's still many times where they say something like, "Oh, you know how it is when there's like a reorg at the top, and then leadership gets all kind of scrambled." And there's some times where I'm like, I don't actually. What do you mean by reorg? What do you mean by scramble? Like, I actually don't know what you're talking about. Can you can you help me understand a little bit? Asking my prospects for clarification on whatever they were talking about, and it does take a little bit of vulnerability to do that. That was the single biggest educational source I had for business acumen and for sounding like my peers and for sounding like a peer to my prospects.